You haven't picked up your keys. You haven't put your shoes on. You haven't said a single word about going anywhere. And yet, when you look up, your golden retriever is already standing in the doorway, watching you. Not wagging, just watching. With that quiet, slightly wounded look that says, "You're leaving, aren't you?" How does he know? You barely knew yourself. For a long time, people just chalked this up to some kind of sixth sense. Dogs are magic. Dogs are psychic. Dogs just know. But over the last 30 years, scientists have actually pulled this apart. And what they found is stranger and, honestly, far more impressive than any sixth sense. Because your golden isn't reading the future, he's reading you, and he's been studying you very carefully for his entire life. So let's talk about how your dog knows you're leaving. Sometimes before you've even decided. Start with the thing that seems most magical, the moment he appears in the doorway. Here's what's actually happening. Your dog does not know what 9 in the morning is. He can't read the clock on your oven. What he can do, brilliantly, is join the dots. Because you, like every human being on Earth, are a creature of ritual. You leave the house the same way every single time. Maybe it's the shower, then the coffee, then the shoes, then the bag, then the keys. Maybe it's the coat first. It doesn't matter what the order is. What matters is that it's the same order, every day. Behaviorists call these pre-departure cues. Your dog has watched that sequence play out hundreds and hundreds of times, and he has quietly learned that it always ends with you walking out of the door. This isn't a trick you taught him. It's not obedience. It's unintentional conditioning. The same reason your stomach rumbles when you hear a certain jingle, or you flinch at the sound of your alarm on a Saturday morning. Your dog didn't decide to learn your routine. He couldn't help it. He was there, and he was paying attention, because paying attention to you is the great project of his life. Now here's the part that people find unsettling. That chain of cues creeps backwards. Because once your dog has learned that keys mean leaving, he then notices that the bag always comes before the keys. So the bag starts to mean leaving. And then he notices that the shoes come before the bag. And then that a certain way you close your laptop comes before the shoes. And then that a particular sigh comes before the laptop. Every time he finds an earlier reliable signal, the prediction slides further back in time, which is why you can be standing in the kitchen, not consciously thinking about leaving at all, doing something as small as putting your mug in the sink a little too firmly, and your dog is already off the sofa. He hasn't read your mind. He has spotted a pattern that you didn't even know you had. He knows your tells better than you do. If your golden played poker, you would lose everything, but that only explains how he knows you're going. It doesn't explain the other half of this, whether he has any real sense of how long you've been gone. And for a while, that was genuinely unclear. Maybe 5 minutes and 5 hours feel identical to a dog. They don't. And there's a lovely study that shows it. In 2011, 2 Swedish researchers, Therese Wren and Linda Keeling, took 12 ordinary pet dogs, none of them with any separation problems, and filmed what happened in their homes when they were left alone. Not just once. They left them alone for 30 minutes, and for 2 hours, and for 4 hours, and they watched how the dogs behaved when their owners walked back through the door, and the greetings were different. After 2 hours and after 4 hours, the dogs greeted their owners far more intensely than they did after only 30 minutes. More movement, more attention. More of that whole body, tail thumping, where have you been joy. Something inside those dogs was keeping track. 30 minutes was a nuisance. 4 hours was an event. So how does a dog with no clock and no calendar measure time? Well, here's the theory that I love. He might be smelling it. Alexandra Horowitz, who runs a dog cognition lab at Columbia University, points out something obvious that almost nobody thinks about. Smells decay. A fresh scent is strong, an old scent is faint. And to a dog, with hundreds of millions of scent receptors against our few million, that difference isn't a subtlety, it's information. It's a gradient he can read like a bar chart. And you, my friend, smell. Constantly. You are leaking your scent into your house every second you're in it. When you walk out of the door, that cloud of you starts to fade. Slowly, hour by hour, the house smells less and less like you were just here. So when your golden lifts his head at 4 in the afternoon, he is standing in a room that smells like a version of you that is several hours old. He is not counting the hours. He is smelling how much of you is left in the air. Your dog can, in a very real sense, smell time passing, which brings us to the myth. And I want to handle this one honestly because it's the thing people believe most. You've heard it, or maybe you believe it yourself. My dog knows the exact moment I set off for home. He goes and sits by the window. Somebody in the family swears they can tell when the car has left the office, 20 minutes away. There was a famous set of experiments on this in the 90s by a researcher named Rupert Sheldrake, with a dog called JT who seemed to go to the window when his owner started heading home. Sheldrake argued it was something like telepathy, but when other researchers, led by the psychologist Richard Wiseman, ran controlled tests, the effect did not hold up. Sheldrake disputed how they measured it. The argument has rumbled on for decades. What has never happened is mainstream science accepting that dogs are psychic. Because there are much simpler explanations, and they were sitting there the whole time. Your dog runs on a routine, and he knows roughly when things happen in a day. Your dog can hear sounds you simply cannot, including, after a few thousand repetitions, the specific engine of your specific car, from streets away, long before it registers to you. He can hear your particular footsteps in a stairwell. On the right day, with the wind in the right direction, he can probably smell you coming. And then there's the bit nobody likes to admit. Your golden goes and looks out of that window a dozen times a day, 20 times. He looks out of it when a leaf moves. Nobody writes those times down. But on the one occasion he's sitting there when your car pulls up, that's the story you tell at dinner for the next 10 years. So no, he isn't psychic. He's just got a nose that reads time, ears that hear you coming from 3 streets away, and a brain that has memorized your entire life's rhythm. Frankly, I think that's the better story. Now, one genuinely useful thing, because this isn't just trivia. If your golden gets anxious when you leave, those pre-departure cues are part of the problem. Every time the keys jingle and then you vanish, the keys get a little more frightening, so you can diffuse them. Pick up your keys, then sit down and watch television. Put your shoes on, then make a coffee. Open the front door, then close it, and stay exactly where you are. Do it at random, often, until the keys mean nothing at all. And keep your goodbyes and your hellos boring. No big emotional send-off, no 10-minute reunion at the door. Calm arrivals and departures teach him it simply isn't a big deal, and if his distress is genuinely severe, destruction, howling, panic, that isn't something to fix with an internet video. That's a conversation with your vet or a behaviorist. It's a real condition, and it's treatable. But mostly, I want you to think about what all of this actually means. Your dog does not know your schedule. He doesn't know about Mondays, or your job, or the meeting that's making you sigh into your coffee. What he knows is you, the exact rhythm of how you move around your own house. The particular sound of your feet, the smell of you, fading through the afternoon. He has spent every day of his short life studying one single human being with an attention that no one else in your life has ever given you. So the next time he's standing in the doorway before you've touched your keys and you feel that little pang of guilt, don't feel caught out. Feel known. Because somewhere behind those brown eyes is a creature who has learned you by heart and who is simply, quietly, hoping today's the day you take him with you. I'll see you in the next one.